Hello and welcome to Free Dictionary Friday. I'm etetutor and this is part 4 of our Happy Birthday Mr. Dickens collection. And in this one we're carrying on looking at his literary style, and we're now going to be focusing in on how Dickens creates characters. And this applies to all of his novels and short stories. So we can see here that one of Dickens's biographers has said that he was the greatest creator of characters since Shakespeare. So we can see a list here of some of the significant characters that people are particular fans of or particular critics of. So Dickens's characterisation was a little bit controversial, as we'll see in a second. But if you saw the previous video, one of the things you'll know is that his characters often have very significant names, and these names relate to the story that the characters are going to go through. So we can definitely see that with Pip. We can see it with little tiny Tim. We know from his name that he's a character that we're going to feel something for. He's already being shown to be vulnerable by his very name. Oliver Twist. What does that make us think? Maybe it could symbolise that this character's going to go through a lot. Their journey is going to be full of twists and turns. And spoiler alert, it is a story about twists and turns. So yeah, it's something you can always think about, not just for Dickens, but for any character when you're preparing and revising. Think about, does their name carry something with it? Is it symbolic in a certain way? And with Dickens, it's actually worked two ways. So he created these characters hoping for a reaction, and now all these years later it's still part of common parlance, everyday speech, to refer to somebody as a Scrooge because they're a bit tight-fisted or a bit of a miser. So that was the other way around. He called his character Scrooge, we took it on board. So have a think, are there any other characters that you know of that have that much power? And again, it just shows us what an impact Dickens had as a writer on society. And the fact that these characters took on a life outside the book. So you can read a little bit more of that. You can also see that some of the characters were drawn from real life. So Mrs. Nickleby in Nicholas Nickleby is based on his mother. Luckily she didn't recognise that portrait. We can see it again with other characters as well. We can see here some of the criticism creeping in, and we can see the interpretation of some of his characters as being caricatures, very over the top, unrealistic portrayals. Now that's not all of the characters, but some readers feel that certain characters are like this, and Tiny Tim's often one that's referred to as being a little bit too sickly, a bit too sentimental. So we can see Virginia Woolf here. She felt that characters who exist not in detail, not accurately or exactly, but abundantly in a cluster of wild yet extraordinary revealing remarks. So we can see there that they're not accurate characters, but they capture something about real people and the way they are. So hopefully that helps. There's a really good little tip for GCSE students at the end here, something that you could use to set your work aside, and that is referring to London with those inverted commas as a character. If you could see me, I'm doing the air quotes to really kind of push this across. The character within the novel, London. So London itself is something that's evolving, something that's changing. We see its good side, we see its underbelly, we see its dark side. It's got different aspects to its personality, the Thames, the coaching in. So you can make that an analogy, say that London, like a person, has these different characteristics, has these different sides to its personality, and that's something that you could use in a lot of different novels. Alright then, we will leave it at that for characters. It's a little bit intense doing this kind of literary criticism, but hopefully it will help you, especially if you are aiming for a 7, 8, 9. Being able to talk about characters in this way will be really helpful. Alright then, thanks for watching. Please hit like if you feel these videos are helping, and I look forward to any comments.